The New York Times is today reporting that Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg is renewing his office's criminal investigation into Donald Trump. It's an investigation that for months has appeared to be dead. Prosecutors are zeroing in on the former president's hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels, who said that she had an affair with Trump in 2006. The inklings of this new investigation come just days after a special counsel was named to investigate Trump in two federal investigations, one into classified documents taken to Mar-a-Lago and another into his actions around January 6. Joining us now, Michael Cohen, host of the Mea Culpa podcast and author of the brand new must-read book, Revenge, How Donald Trump Weaponized the U.S. Department of Justice Against His Critics. So, Michael, I know you had provided information to Alvin Bragg's office under his predecessor. Just take us back in time and remind us of what crimes Trump potentially committed here in the hush money payments to Stormy Daniels.
Well, it goes back to the topic of campaign finance violation. However, in this specific case, it appears that there's even more, that there might be a secondary case that they're looking at, which is how he treated the hush money reimbursement payments to me. My understanding is that they wrote it off, that this is some sort of a write-off to the company as a legal expense, which obviously we all know that it wasn't. But once again, this just becomes the curious case of Alvin Bragg. Where is this case going? It would have been great had he stepped forward himself in this New York Times article or gone on television, announced that we are pursuing this case against Donald Trump for campaign finance violation, as well as misrepresentation on the tax documents.
Michael, there's some facts that I think are hazy, but you're right. I mean, a very, very accomplished and respected prosecutor, Mr. Pomerantz, was working this case in this office. He left. Was it news to you that it was revived? Did you learn this in the news? I mean, what is your sense of what happened then, and what sort of did Alvin Bragg wake up with a conscience? What theories do you have about how this came to be today in the New York Times?
Yeah, I have no theory onto how it showed up there. What I can tell you is it wasn't just, and I totally agree with you in terms of the quality of Mark Pomerantz as a lawyer. He is a phenomenal lawyer, but there was also Carrie Dunn. The two of them resigned in protest as a direct result of Alvin Bragg not permitting them to go forward and to file formal indictments. What I learned it the same way that everybody else did. I started receiving a series of phone calls and emails and text messages from a multitude of journalists that were asking me for a statement. And my statement was, I have no idea. I have not, as of this writing, I had not spoken to Alvin Bragg or any member of his office. So at the end of the day, I guess we'll see what happens.
It's such a remarkable turn of events. I want to ask you what evidence you provided Alvin Bragg's office and what else you think they have on this. And if you think that if they pursue it, Trump will be indicted.
The evidence is crystal clear. It was provided not only to the DA's office, the Attorney General's office, as well as the Southern District of New York when they were prosecuting me for the campaign finance violation. It's an amazing thing. He has the affair. He directs me. So what I did at the direction of and for the benefit of Donald J. Trump. I end up getting charged with it. Not only do we have the Stormy Daniels case of a campaign finance violation, but there's also the Karen McDougal case, which was paid for by the National Enquirer, David Pecker, and AMI. So again, I don't really have a lot of answers here other than to say they have all the documents that they need. They have copies of the checks. They have a copy of the NDA, the non-disclosure agreement that was provided to Stormy Daniels. They have obviously his tax returns, and they have not only my testimony, but the testimony of others in regard to how this $130,000 was treated for tax purposes by the Trump Organization, Alan Weisselberg, and the accounting firm.
Michael, I remember where I was when Rudy Giuliani told Sean Hannity that, Trump asked you to make the payment. And we have the pictures of the checks that Trump wrote, and we know that he wrote them from the Oval Office. What facts are missing? I mean, what evidence needs to be developed by Mr. Bragg?
Yeah, I'm not really sure that there's anything. I mean, it's almost like what's going on with the new special counsel, Mr. Smith. It's the same thing now. One of the things that I'm hoping that he does is he bifurcates the two issues, the January 6th hearings versus the other matter, which is the Mar-a-Lago seizure of the stolen NARA documents. That, to me, is the easy case. That's the low-hanging fruit. So I do hope he bifurcates the two, and he just automatically goes straight for the easier one, again, the stolen documents. So let's think about it. For more than a year, possibly closer to a year and a half, NARA and the government were asking for the return of these documents. And Donald, of course, refused to do it. And so they go to a judge, they get the judge to fill out a search warrant, signed off, and this is unprecedented, so it was not taken lightly. They then go and they raid the resort that Donald is staying at. They go directly to the places that they know those documents are at, and what do they recover? Hundreds of documents, many of which are written right at the top of the documents, top secret or, super classified. That in and of itself is a crime. So I don't know why Merrick Garland needed to appoint a special counsel in this specific case. This is cut and dry stuff. The January 6th hearings, I could understand, and that will take a much longer period of time simply because you have 1,000 people who had provided testimony. You have 1 million documents. You have, a 2-year plus investigation. Again, Mar-a-Lago documents, no-brainer. And just like this with Alvin Bragg, it's just, we all know the information. We all know the facts. We've all heard it 100 times. We've seen the evidence. Now it's just time to go for the indictment.